This is Green Apple. We continue our track by track listen through to the Attitude album with this song, which is interestingly, it's called Kemo Sabi. And I was kind of like, when I saw the title to this, I was like, okay, what are we getting at with this? Because the funny thing is, this is clearly written in like phonetic, so it's the romanized letters, but phonetically written. So, you know, with SAH, it's clearly so you pronounce it sa rather than sa. And so this is clearly written to be pronounced Kemo Sabi. But usually if you want to write something phonetically in Japanese, you use katakana, like down here with romanticism. It's like, you know, it's a phonetic language. So why would they write it like this? I did a little bit of research to see if I could work out the reason why. Now, I ran so many things through Google Translate. I did it in katakana like this, which gave me Kemo service. Sabi service. Okay. I got things like sweet potato, it's gross, something about an abbey. You know, I got so many different things trying all the different variations of phonetic Japanese to see what it was. Then I came up with one other thing it could be, which is that I tried typing it into Google. And, well, it suggested maybe it's Kemo-sabi, which is a famous term from the Lone Ranger show used by Tonto to refer to the hero meaning trusty scout or faithful friend. And there's a little bit of context for you. So, oh, wait, hold up. Maybe it's this. Well, I just think there's a Wikipedia entry here. Let's see where this goes. Because this is actually using that phonetic exact same phonetic spelling that Mrs. Green Apple used. Oh, okay. So, yeah, okay. Oh, so it's apparently that pronunciation is... Okay, so that must be what it means. There we go. I think we found an answer together. I have no idea. No idea what this song's going to be about. But like I said, one of the things I've been enjoying about Attitude so far is that, yeah, we've had so many really interesting songs on here, so much really great songwriting, but I'm always intrigued by these few minority of songs that don't have a lyric video, don't have a music video. These are just the ones that they could be anything. So I'm excited to see what we get from this. So far, it's been great. As always, I'm very honest on this channel. I think the last video that we checked out, the last one was Lovin'. Lovin' I enjoyed. I thought it was great. I thought it was all the sort of things we like from Mrs. Green Apple, but I didn't think it stood out hugely. I thought it was one of those songs that for a young couple, you'd probably find it very beautiful, but it didn't stand out to me much as being particularly, it was just kind of like, okay, that's a fairly normal Mrs. Green Apple song with no huge standout moments. But there's been some really interesting stuff on here. Apologies again that this track by track has taken so long to do. If you've been following the other stuff on my channel, you'll know there's been a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. And, the reason why I can't just sort of record all of this in one take is it takes about 15 minutes to do each one of these videos. And so if I did the entire album in one sitting, it would be hours. So that's why I've been doing it in various sittings. But I will come back at the end and try and give a retrospective of the entire album after I've finished all the reactions and been able to come back and listen to it all just as a normal album in one sitting, maybe at some time after I've done this. All right, shall we get a bit of what I'm assuming is Kemo-sabi then? From Attitude. I have no idea what to expect. Let's see if this dives into some crazy like Native American or Red Indian or whatever they were going to call them at the time. Native American's the proper term, isn't it? But if you go in back to like something like was it the Lone Ranger, then they would probably refer to them as Indians back then. Ah, the joys of enlightenment. Let's go. Wait, what album we listen to again? Ah, there's a bit of that playful Mrs. Green Apple sound coming in there. Oh, this is... There's a little bit of his signature kind of melody style. Yeah, that's got some real drive to it, isn't it? Loving that charging kind of punk drum beat. But the whole sound is so thick. Oh, that's nice. Oh no, this one. Again, the little interplay between the guitars on the left and right hand side. They love that, don't they? Now the vocals. He even got squealing guitars in this one. You can imagine like galloping on a horse to this. The attitude horse. Ooh, that phaser on the guitar is really cool though. That effect that makes it sound like an airplane taking off. Koto. Dropping in. Oh, that was quick. Oh! Yeah, I like that mid-tempo. Come on, fly into the last chorus. I'm loving the build-up. Let's have a punch into the last chorus. Yeah. And you can hear like the extra melodies on the top. Yep. I like that. I like that a lot. Do you know what? All right, okay. We've got so many things to address here because to fully convey why I like that so much, I hope you've been following this track by track listen through with me, because I say so often that songs can be great in their own right, but sometimes one of the biggest things that really helps a song, or helps anything, context and contrast. You know, it's not just what you make, but how it fits into everything else. Now, this has just come off the back of Lovin', which is like a nice, gentle song. Like I say, nothing wrong with it, but it's sort of gentle, predictable, everything kind of nice. Just brings you those sort of nice, warm feelings you expect from a lovely, relationship-inspired Mrs. Green Apple song. And then this does something. This is a technique that I really love when albums do this. I mean, an album should flow again. An album should flow like a song does. But sometimes, just like with a song, one of the best things you can do in the flow is suddenly just inject energy with sudden punch when you least expect it, because that feeling, that adrenaline of suddenly being woken up by something is really great. And boy, oh boy, is this a bit of contrast. So on its own merit, you could argue this is a song that, okay, we've heard other bands do songs like this. It does have some really great little aspects I'm going to get around to in a minute. But given that this is so wildly different from anything else on this album, and there's a lot of variation on this album, but this is wildly different. This is the last thing that I expected to suddenly happen, for us to suddenly get a song like this, which is like double time punk beats and like charging forwards. All of that, and yet at the same time, it actually feels comfortable with the rest of the album. It still feels like it carries a lot of the attitude and the sonic things that we love from Mrs. Green Apple into this song. I feel this is great. This is really, so if you, first of all, before we even talk about the song, if you just add the context of where this sits on the album, how it varies from everything else on the album, how it contrasts the rest of the album. And if you look at it like that, that immediately gives this song just so many immediate points straight off the bat before we even get into talking about its own qualities as a piece of music. It just immediately feels like, yes, this earns extra brownie points purely on its contrast and its context. Now, if we actually talk about it as a song, I actually think it's got some real good merit as a song. It's not just a sort of dumb headbanger. We can all enjoy dumb headbangers, don't get me wrong, but it's not just a dumb headbanger. The song obviously kicks in straight away with just this wall of sound. Again, Mrs. Green Apple taking brilliant use of left and right. Even in the loud bits, so you get the quiet bits where you hear like the counter melodies between the guitars, but even in the loud bits, just making sure that you have two guitars playing separately in the left and right, even if they're playing the same thing, just makes it feel bigger. Rather than just having one roaring guitar, you've got two, you've got left and right, two guitars either side of your head. That gives it this extra roaring power. So it punches in straight away with that. Again, loving the drums on this album. I gotta say it. I know she's not with them anymore. I'm loving the drums on this. Just charging away straight off the bat. Love how that kicks in. But then what's interesting is this song builds up. You get, again, to add a little bit of continuity, you get that sort of that scale, that style of melody writing that is very much his, the very much the Mrs. Green Apple sound with the way the melody comes in, but it works perfectly. And it's still got the sense of like urgency. It's flowing well with this song that's really punky and energetic. But what really adds the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to say extra quality. Hopefully I'll think of the word I'm looking for. What really adds the extra quality to this? That's not the word. Anyway, what adds the extra quality to this is the fact that when we get all of that punky energy, we then get that breakdown where it just goes to his voice and just the kotos playing beautifully and a little bit of the shakuhachi. Now, yes, the koto and the shakuhachi are clearly keyboard sounds, but still it's conveying the sort of beautiful, delicate emotion. I mean, if this is really relating to like Native American words, it's interesting that they went for very sort of old school traditional Japanese sounds, but I got no problem with that. I love how it breaks down to that and then comes punching in with that like halftime bum. Really, so you can bounce your head along to it and you get this really headbanging thing. Again, that's a quality that if you just sort of said, oh, that's something that's happening in a song by a hard rock or a punk band, I'd be like, yeah, that's a quality, that's a great quality, but it's a songwriting style that's very familiar for them. It's not something you see too often in Mrs. Green Apple songs. So I love that when going into this more sort of punky and heavy area, they've taken note to use that songwriting style. They've gone, yeah, okay, instead of just having a build-up, let's actually have a bit where there's a distinct halftime headbanging bit because it really gives you this big, energetic sort of kinetic. You want to bounce your head, you want to move your body feeling right before then we just go crazy and come back in with that punk again. The fact that they've so beautifully integrated that into the song, it sort of breaks down, you get the gentle koto, shakuhachi and vocal, then you get a big halftime thing and you know where it's going, you know where it's coming, and then when the chorus comes in, charging away again. Love it. I think it's beautifully written. I think it carries all of the sonic and melodic qualities that we know and love of Mrs. Green Apple, but it carries them and ports them beautifully over to a song that's doing something very different. And it just works. It works. It nicely marries their core qualities with a sound that is very distinctly different from what we usually expect from them. I mean, we talk about songs like Inferno being a little bit heavier, but Inferno is one of those songs that's got a little bit of heavy edge, but it definitely feels more Mrs. Green Apple than hard rock. Whereas this actually feels like, you can feel the Mrs. Green Apple DNA, but it does feel like it genuinely steps over a line and goes into a territory that's very different. So I really like this. This is the sort of song that I would say I love this for being contrast. I love it for being something that differs, adds a bit of colour to the album. But I also would say I would come back and listen to this song on its own. I would genuinely come back and listen to this song because I just thought it was fun and entertaining. And again, also, I have to say, the final chorus, how that plays out with like the la, 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 very Mrs. Green Apple. But then you hear like those other things, like I think it was like the shakuhachi, like the flute instrument. I could hear that coming back in over the top. There was another little melody in the background there as well. Yeah, this was just great. I really enjoyed this. I genuinely really enjoyed this. I would come back and listen to it again. 3 minutes and 20 seconds of blasting fun. Now, the next song, Romanticism, I actually already did a reaction to that. So that one's already out there. If you want to see more what my reaction to that was, although it wasn't done in this track-by-track playlist, you'll be able to find that by searching through my channel, which means the next one we'll do is another one of these non-album tracks, which has me non-single tracks, which has me excited because it's a Usoja Nayo. This is another one which I feel like should be written in katakana, but we'll find out. Anyway, this is great stuff. I'm really enjoying this. So glad that I've had a chance to sit back down and carry on with this track-by-track listen, but Kemosabe. And just a bit of context in case you don't know, every time I go to do one of these, I do always go back and just re-listen to the last couple of songs before it again, just so I've got the context in my head. So although I don't make you watch me re-listen to those songs before listening to this, I did just go back and check out the last couple of songs again before. Anyway, great stuff. Really enjoyed this. As always, get in the comments. Tell me what you think. And until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.